There may not be many people who hear this phrase from Upanino and immediately recognize it. I think this theory is probably correct. I absolutely cannot forgive letting a murderer who took the lives of young children go free. I strongly hope that this series of incidents will move toward a resolution. This concludes the tale of the police's inadequate inquiry and the profound failings of the legal system. The North Kanto serial abduction and murder case of young girls. Since 1979, within a 50-kilometer radius in Kiken and Gunma prefectures, over a period of 17 years, there were cases where young girls were abducted and murdered. Originally, each of these was treated as an individual case. At the time, these cases received little media coverage beyond the local area. However, journalist Kiyomizu later hypothesized connections between the cases, and they are now thought to have been committed by the same perpetrator. There were between 5 and 7 victims, all children between the ages of 4 and 8, and in 3 of the cases the children went missing. The locations were pachinko parlors, and in 4 of the cases the victims were found on riverbanks. They all occurred on weekends, and as of 2020, all of these cases remain unsolved. Among this series of incidents are the abduction of Yukari Yokoyama and the Ashikaga case. I've covered these cases in my recent videos, so I recommend watching those before viewing this video. Here is a summary of the cases thought to be linked to the same suspect. It all began on August 3, 1979. 5-year-old Makoto Fukushima, who lived in Ashikaga City, Tochigi Prefecture, went missing while playing alone in the grounds of Yakumo Shrine near his home. 6 days later, on August 9, he was found naked and stuffed in a backpack near the Watarase River. He was discovered in that condition. According to witnesses, Mae-chan vanished. Around 1 p.m. that day, she was at Kusuri Shrine. Around 1:30 p.m. that day, she was seen sitting on a stone in the shrine grounds with a man who looked like a craftsman in his mid-20s, drinking juice together. Her mother went to the shrine, but she had already left. Maya-chan was nowhere to be found. When Maya-chan was discovered, it was believed that about 6 days had passed since her death, and it is thought that she was killed soon after she went missing. About 5 years after Maya-chan's case occurred, on November 17, 1984, not far from the place where Maya-chan's body was found, 5-year-old Yumi Hasebe, who came to play with her family at a pachinko parlor, went missing. After 4 p.m., a man, thought to be in his 40s, called Yumi-chan's kindergarten asking for her home number. Yumi-chan's voice was heard in the background. Then, a call came to Yumi-chan's house with a girl pleading for help and a voice giving Sano Kosei Hospital as the location. Police immediately investigated the hospital but found no sign of the girl. Sadly, Yumi-chan remained missing over a year later. About 2.4 kilometers from the pachinko parlor, she was found in a field, her body already skeletonized. 3 years later, on September 15, 1987, Tomoko Osawa, a resident of Kameoka, Kojima Town, now Ota City, Gunma Prefecture. Tomoko, 8, left for nearby Kojima Park around noon with her bicycle and never returned, prompting her family to report it to the police. There was a witness who saw Tomoko walking with a man around 30 years old, but he could not be identified. The following year, on November 27, 1988, about 2 kilometers south of the park, her skeletal remains were found on the riverbed of the Tone River. These, along with the previous 3 cases, the Mami Matsuda case and the Yukari Yokoyama case, make 5 incidents in total. The North Kanto serial child abduction and murder cases are now believed to have been committed by a single perpetrator, according to one journalist's theory. All 5 cases remain unsolved, and except for the Yukari Yokoyama case, the statute of limitations has already expired for the other cases. Ashika founded the Ota Serial Unsolved Cases Family Association to help families uncover the truth behind these cases. Even now, families and journalists continue to call on the government and investigative authorities to uncover the truth and reopen the investigation into these cases. As I told Kiyomizu and Kiyosaki earlier, I believe these incidents were committed by the same perpetrator. Kiyomizu, through his reporting and investigation, came closer to identifying the real culprit who raised that point. He drew a star. In the Mami-chan Matsuda case, a witness mentioned a man in a Lupin II outfit. The Yukari Yokoyama case had surveillance footage of a man called Uncle Something. Kiyomizu believes one man is behind these incidents, likely single and active on weekends. He traveled between Gunma and Tochigi prefectures, frequenting pachinko parlors in Ashikaga City and Ota City, where he smoked and played pachinko all day. His identity and address were determined. Kiyomizu contacted Gunma and Tochigi police, but they didn't act. He went to meet them himself. He waited in the shadows for Lupani's man to come home. Kiyomizu soon saw a small man quietly slip into the entrance. As expected, he was a middle-aged man who resembled Lupin III from the manga. Kiyomizu rang the intercom and the man peeked out. "I'd like to ask you about the incident from 18 years ago," Kiyomizu said without hesitation. The man clearly looked startled. "You were in Ashikaga that day, weren't you?" "I don't really remember," he replied. Under Kiyomizu's persistent questioning, the man's vague answers became inconsistent. He eventually admitted being in Ashikaga the day Mami Matsuda disappeared, even mentioning the pachinko parlor she was last seen at. He also admitted that he was at the shop and even spoke with Mami-chan. "Since I am just a journalist without investigative authority, I couldn't directly ask about his involvement in the case, but his connection to the incident became increasingly clear. Eventually, I became convinced that this man was indeed the true culprit behind the serial abductions and murders of young girls in northern Kanto. After that, I independently conducted the latest A analysis. The A from this man and the semen sample believed to be from the real culprit in the Mami Matsuda case were a perfect match. Statistically, the probability of two people having a perfect match with this analysis method is 1 in 100 trillion. It is said that thanks to the A analysis, the real culprit was almost certainly identified in this case. However, what followed was shrouded in deep and filthy darkness. Despite all these facts, the police made no move at all to arrest this man. Why is that? From here on, the story becomes truly infuriating. If they were to arrest this man, it would be confirmed that the Type A analysis result, which was the main reason for the arrest in the Mami Matsuda case, was actually a misidentification. Actually, it was almost the same as the Mami Matsuda case. At around the same time, there was a case called the Izuka incident, where a person who claimed innocence was found guilty and sentenced to death because of this Type A analysis, and the sentence had already been carried out. They admitted that there were serious flaws in the Type A analysis. This means that it can no longer be denied that there is a possibility that the death penalty was carried out on an innocent person. I would like to address the Izuka case separately, because conducting a reinvestigation and arresting the real perpetrator would mean admitting to a police blunder. It is almost impossible. Despite knowing the real perpetrator, they won't make an arrest. It's ridiculous. Had they conducted a proper investigation initially, these incidents could have been prevented. The most important thing is to arrest the criminal and prevent similar incidents from reoccurring. Given the current situation, I would like to send a heartfelt message to the man believed to be the real perpetrator. Lupin, we've reported about you over and over again. Did the grief of the bereaved families reach you? Unfortunately, we still don't know who you really are. I can't write your name, but I will at least leave a record of your existence here. Don't think you can get away with this. Lupin II, a 29-year-old unemployed professional pachinko player with no fixed address at the time of the Ashikaga incident, is now 59 in 2020. While 4 of the 5 cases have been ruled as accidents, he can still be arrested for the Yukari Yokoyama case. I sincerely hope that the police will take action as soon as possible, both for the families of the victims and for the peace of mind of the local residents. Everyone makes mistakes. The problem isn't just making a mistake. What's truly wrong is not taking responsibility for it afterward. That's all for now. See you next time. Bye.